Hello, team! Welcome back to Eye on the Storm. I am so glad you're here, and this is our weekly show where we talk about Heroes of the Storm, in case you didn't know. I'm Anna Prosser Robinson, and this is my co-host Gillyweed, who is not, in fact, Tempo Zoia. I knew there was something I was forgetting to do, and that was check which window people were in. So, talk amongst production! Talk amongst yourselves. I'm not even going to restart that, so that's going to live forever in infamy on YouTube. So,
nice.
That's the way things go sometimes. Anyway, that over there is actually Gillyweed.
Yes, in the amount of time that we took a cruise and I was sick and got over being sick, I have in fact grown a beard. It happens. This is Eye on the Storm. This is our weekly podcast where we talk all about Blizzard's hero brawler, Heroes of the Storm. Every week we bring on a guest to talk about things that are happening in the community as well as things happening in the game. And then we end with a fun play session, usually highlighting a hero. This week will be our brand new hero, Li-Ming. The Rebellious Wizard, I think, is her.
Rebellious Wizard.
Rebellious Wizard.
I liked it better when Kenteric was talking about her as like the cocky wizard.
Oh, she is that too.
Yes,
that's
I like
for sure.
that.
And of course, we were on Misscliks, Anna. Can you tell us a little bit more about Misscliks?
I sure can. Misscliks is an online community and live streaming channel that is built around the goal of supporting and providing exposure for women role models in geek and gaming culture, and ultimately just uplifting geeks and gamers everywhere. So we hope that you'll have a fun time in our chat, which we try to keep very safe and happy and positive, and we are glad you are here. And you know what? Gilly and I had a fun week. We were not here last week, and that's because we were on a Disney Star Wars cruise where we just so happened to buy matching hoodies. Yeah. And we had a really, really good time. We completely disconnected from the internet and are very refreshed. And in the meantime, I joined Gillyweed as a Jinx ambassador.
Yeah. Oh. Woo!
Come on,
God, I'm sitting on my...
Go with it. Woo, Jinx! we wore matching outfits to help illustrate our points.
Yeah,
in case you didn't notice. Yeah.
We even have matching cups, but Anna doesn't have BB-8 here right now.
Dang it! It's in the kitchen. Yeah, we have a lot of matching things because we are matching hearts. I
wish I had a Star Wars hoodie. Unfortunately, I only have this awesome TempoStorm hoodie that you can buy at intotheam.com, and over there you can also get it in blue as well.
You know what else? You also have a really awesome t-shirt
cool
that I'm super jealous of.
Ta-da!
I love that you are wearing that. And to answer preemptively the questions, no, you can't buy one because you didn't buy one when we had them on sale before. So I guess you'll have to ask us really politely to yet again put our Eye on the Storm shirts on sale on Teespring.
That could happen soon. But let's introduce our amazing guest who is repping
Let's
Eye
do
on the
that.
Storm so well. We have Zoia here, the second time back on the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Heroes commentator. I've been casting a lot of stuff with him lately. It's been tons of fun. Also manager of the TempoStorm Heroes team. How's that been going?
It's been going pretty well. Team's still adjusting to the new roster. We're going through changes almost every day when it comes to just like how we approach the game and stuff. Unfortunately, we didn't qualify last week for regionals, but I'm feeling we'll do it this weekend.
We'll be talking about regionals very soon, actually. But we did want to mention, guys, that we are going to be covering and talking more about Heroes of the Dorm, that announcement that came out while we were on the cruise. So much stuff came out when we were on the cruise, Anna. I came back and was like, what happened to Heroes?
We were like, bye, everyone. We're disconnecting from the internet completely. And then Heroes was like, now we'll announce all the things that they would want to know about and cover and be the first people to talk about. But that's fine. I was
2 patches,
I was zen about
PTR,
Mm-hmm.
and here's the Dorm announcement.
Yep. But that's okay. That's why we're here today, to talk about those things that we missed. And I was curious, you were talking about the new roster and everything. For people who haven't been keeping up with TempoStorm, Zoia, why don't you tell us what the new roster looks like and what's going on with the team right now?
Right now, the only signed players are KO and Soldier. They did re-sign for the 2016 year. We are currently playing with Goku as our melee assassin / flex. Zix, who formerly of Cloud9 Vortex, he is our support, and then Srey, who's been on a lot of teams, mainly known for being rank 1 on Hot Slots for a very long time, as well as on the Blizzard ladder. And he's our warrior player and our shot caller.
Very nice.
And captain of the team is KO, correct?
Mm-hmm. KO stepped up as captain as Dreadnought retired.
Oh, he completely retired, huh? He's not going to play at all?
Mm-mm. He's just a streamer now.
And caster.
And caster, yeah.
Well, cool. Good luck to TempoStorm and all the teams who are competing. And speaking of that, we are right smack dab in the Spring Global Championship. At BlizzCon last year, it was announced that we were going to have 3 global championships, and we are starting to get into the first of those, which is the spring one. And there will be 12 different teams represented at the championship, and so we're working on the qualifiers that get teams to that point. Right now, for North America, we're working on the qualifiers just to get them to the regionals, which will be taking place at the end of February. And from there, 2 teams will qualify to go to South Korea and Seoul. Where is it? Seoul? Is that how you pronounce it? Okay. And that's where the first global championship is going to be, which is crazy awesome. All of us having loved StarCraft for so long and still loving StarCraft, it's really cool to think about the possibility of getting to go to Seoul.
I know. I'm keeping my fingers crossed so hard that I get to go, because ever since I even became aware of esports, the journey to the mecca of esports to Korea was something that I've wanted to do. So I'm really, really hoping I might get the chance to go.
Likewise, I really want to go to Korea. That would be the dream.
Yeah, that would be a lot of esports fans and workers' dreams, people who are trying to, professionals even. But we have had some qualifiers already happen. We kind of sort of accidentally got to cast the Chinese qualifiers, because we were asked to do the English cast of Gold League with Babel, and then found out in the middle of that it was going to be the qualifiers. And so from that, eStar and Edward Gaming will be representing China at the Global Championship. We don't have any other teams who have been qualified for the championship.
Nope.
No.
Those are the only ones for sure, except for, we do have North American teams, which we'll talk about a little bit later, because we want to really dive into the North American scene, because that's obviously where most of us are focused, where most of our viewers generally are focused. So we'll talk in depth about that. But looking at all of these qualifiers and things and knowing which ones have already gone on, in fact, I think I can show you, I'm going to find the kind of list of the events that have already gone on, but I feel like this kind of snuck up on me. I feel like I all of a sudden realized that all of these were happening. Like you said, in the middle of Gold League, all of a sudden it was like, oh, that was the qualifier. And so many have already happened. Looking here at the global schedule, this is January. You can see that Gold League has already had a ton. Super League already a ton. We have North American and Europe qualifiers. Southeast Asia has had Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, Thailand. All of those have happened. And this is all by the end of January. And then, of course, there's a whole bunch of February events coming up already, and some have already happened with Super League from Korea. And by the way, I'm looking at us.heroesofthestorm.com, which is the esports website for Heroes of the Storm /esports right here.
Yeah. heroesofthestorm.com/esports.
Yeah.
All of those, though, are qualifiers for the regionals. The only ones who have actually already made it through their regionals are the ones who got through Gold League, so eStar and Edward Gaming. We had the first of our North American regional last weekend. We casted it while I was very sick. Poor Zoia had to solo cast one of the games. Thank you, buddy, for doing that.
Easy peasy.
But we had a lot of craziness. The teams who qualified were Cloud9 and Bob Ross Fan Club. And because the rules are different this time around than last year, they can't participate once they have qualified. So the nice thing about that is they get to hide strategies that they'll be working on leading up to regionals, while the other teams will have to show those when they're still trying to qualify. But what did you think of the weekend, Zoia?
That was awesome. I think a lot of the games were closer in certain matches than people were expecting. Not many people knew how good the Cognitive roster was going to look. They've had fantastic results in scrims, and they're really molding well together as a team. And they almost beat Cloud9. That was a really close set. That was really awesome to cast. I don't think anyone's too surprised that Bob Ross Fan Club qualified. They've been monstrous this year, and they're probably going to stay that way for a good while.
So I know that they're They have to submit a roster now, like right away, and they can't make changes after this, right?
I think you're allowed to make one change this year. Last year you could there was roster blocks, but this year you can swap in one player. You have to maintain 4/5.
What's this, Gillyweed?
I think I have a beard again from the overlay.
Dang it! Ah! You do.
You're Gilly, Zoya.
Oh my
Yay!
goodness.
Is that how I sound?
This is, coming back from vacation. It's, excuses, etc. Anyways, but the reason I was asking is because I'm thinking about how Bob Ross Fan Club is probably going to not be called Bob Ross Fan Club by the time we get to those finals.
I think they're allowed to change the names when it comes to the roster. They get a sponsor. I don't think that's going to stop them. I don't think that'd be really weird if suddenly, Kerr signs Bob Ross and it's well, unless you go by Bob Ross Fan Club and don't take that salary, you can't play.
Yeah.
An interesting rule to me is that you can make the one roster change, but that the person, if you were to get rid of a player and replace with another one, that player can't qualify with another team. And this is actually a problem in Europe right now, is that Zarmany helped Team Dignitas qualify, and then they had to let him go because they said the team just had too many warrior players, and so they needed to replace him with somebody else. And I think they were still saying that if it comes to that, they might look at the rules, but for now, even though he helped a team qualify, he's SOL.
Really?
Yeah, that just seems like an oversight in the rules. I think that just slipped past them or something. That seems a bit too ridiculous for it to just be an actual thing that Blizzard and ESL thought was okay. It's
there's no way. Silly.
I could see if two people left a team and then wanted two, or even a majority 3 wanted to leave a team and join another one, then it would be weird. But then I guess that team wouldn't get to stay in because they had more than one change. I don't know, but it is strange. So looking at the next qualifier, it will be this weekend. We have one this Sunday, and then immediately after, Tuesday through Thursday, and then a last chance qualifier, which I think is a really cool concept, where even if you don't qualify, you still earn points based on how far you placed in the 3 qualifiers. And so the top 8 teams in points will be invited to that last chance qualifiers. It really is your last chance, as the last 2 teams that qualify for regionals will be out of that, which I think is I think it's really fun, and it gives teams, incentivizes them to continue trying to do their best, even if they're, say, up against, they find themselves up against Bob Ross Fan Club or somebody in the side of a bracket. But coming up this weekend, what are your thoughts, Zoya, as far as who you think is going to qualify?
I think Cognitive is going to qualify, probably 100%. It depends on which side of the bracket Team Blaze and TempoStorm are on. I think Cognitive secured themselves 3rd place at this point. I think between Blaze and TempoStorm, it's a close 4th, 5th. So whichever one of them ends on the side of the bracket with Cognitive, which will probably be Tempo based off the results this last weekend, based off just seeding, it'll probably be Tempo and Cog. Tempo can definitely beat Cog, but I think Cognitive is the clear number 3 right now. So it'll probably be Cog and then either Tempo or Blaze. There are some other good up-and-coming teams. Panda Global is still pretty solid. Yeah. You have teams like King of Blades and OVO that are looking pretty okay. And but I think if it had to be the 2 teams, I'd probably go with Cog for sure. They look really good.
Yeah, I definitely think it's those 3 teams, maybe 4 with the Panda Global, and it just really comes down to who's on which side of the bracket. It's single elimination, and they don't even play the finals because it doesn't matter. It's just the top 2 teams that qualify. So it really just kind of luck of the bracket a little bit.
Yeah, but it's earned by these teams, which is cool. We'll see who comes out on top. I think Bob Ross has a clear advantage, even over Cloud9, I would say overall. Bob Ross is just, they understand this meta. They don't try and draft anything weird. They just run what's powerful hero picks. They don't necessarily look for these synergies. They just grab really good heroes and they just look unstoppable. Cloud9, of course, they still look very, very good. They've been traveling a lot, though, so they're probably a little bit out of practice, a little bit exhausted. I think Bob Ross just is on a different tier right now, just a little bit ahead of everyone else. They look really good.
Anna, have you been able to catch any of the games? I know, like, it was right after we got back.
You know, I was really excited for this show to hear from you guys because I didn't get to watch very many of those games because of my new job at Twitch, which has been like eating my life in the best possible way. But this show is kind of the marker of me getting to start watching again. So I was excited to see like the esports website of Heroes is a really, really good resource. Usually it's kind of hard to find schedules and replays and stuff like that. So I wanted to suggest to any of you who are fans that maybe feel like it's getting away from you how many matches there are to watch. This page that I'm showing you right now, the heroesofthestorm.com/esports, and I'll link it in the chat, is a really, really good resource, and I would check it out.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that a little bit later on, but since we're on the topic, in their like news section, they just started this article series. It's This Week in Heroes Esports, and what I really love about it is it actually has games to watch, and even has Cognitive versus Cloud9, that series featured. So if you just don't, I mean, nobody has time to keep up with 12 different regions full of qualifiers. That is just...
I do.
It does.
When it's your full-time job, it's easier a little bit, maybe.
Easy peasy.
But then otherwise, it's pretty tough, I'm betting, even for you, to keep up with all 12. Yeah. And so I like that it has at least games to watch so that you know, okay, I've got an hour where I can watch a series and I really want to make sure that it's a good one. Bam, go there, check it out. You can pick one from that, and I think that that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. No, this is something that I think just esports in general has needed for a while. You don't have this, at least from, as far as I'm aware, from a developer standpoint, where like this is Blizzard actually giving you a hub where all of the competitive matches, like from all regions, you can just see. That's just really good, you know, with all the stuff with like, Activision Blizzard buying out MLG, and then you've got ESPN getting their own esports section. You know, these are the things, like these tools are what, you know, normal sports have and have had for a very long time. So, you know, you can always like just go to NFL.com and you see like, you know, which teams won which matches. You can see stats and stuff. And like, this is the step one to that point where we'll have like eventually a page where it has all of Cloud9's most recent games, their stats, their win rates, what heroes they play, you know, like in, you know, if in NFL where you'd have, you know, yards, catches, you know, interceptions and stuff like that. This is the step that gets us closer to that, and that's just awesome.
A centralized place, like you were saying, where I can just kind of, like you're saying with NFL, if I missed a game, I Google like Seahawks highlights versus Patriots or whatever, and then I get a whole slew of content and guided content, curated content to watch. So this games to watch section, this little piece right here, is one of the coolest things that I think a developer like Blizzard is doing to make it more digestible and more sportsy.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was reading that and I was like, oh my gosh, finally, these are so good. I really hope they continue.
Yeah. So let's we kind of hinted that we were going to talk about you know, teams that have qualified, teams that may yet qualify. We talked a little bit about those. We talked about the regional coming up. Is there anything we want to say about what that regional competition might look like, we think? Anything else other than the predictions we've already made?
It's 8 teams, all from NA, top 2 qualify. I don't think format has been announced.
The biggest thing is Zool will be playable by regionals. And whenever they launch, like with how the last 3 or 4 patches have gone, there will be another balance patch with Zool. I would be very surprised if it's just him. There will be more balance changes. So right before weeks.
He'll be allowed though, because Li-Ming isn't even.
Oh wait, no, he won't be.
Li-Ming isn't even allowed.
Zool won't be playable, but the patch will be.
Yeah.
And that will probably have balance changes with it.
Right.
And that's the most important thing is that's why I look at Bob Ross, because they don't do anything gimmicky. They don't do anything to the meta. They don't do these like weird combinations that are starting to pop up. They just draft standard powerful picks. And if they are good with that style, which they clearly are, when a balance patch comes out, those are the teams that's going to have the most power going into a tournament like this. When these balance patches come out, like let's say TempoStorm's running a lot of Vikings with Sylvanas, and then suddenly that combo gets nerfed, or other duos get nerfed like Diablo, Tyrande, things like that. That's hurts teams that rely on stylistic type play, where Bob Ross, they don't rely on that. They just rely on powerful picks and just their aggression with their shot calling. And so I'm with that, I think that's the most important thing is going into regionals. If there's a balance patch, things could be completely different.
Yeah.
Look what the small balance patch that released before the big one came out, Li-Ming,
the Avatar one.
Avatar nerfs and stuff like that. Those are big changes that can just come from a small patch like that.
Mm-hmm. There is like a good amount of time because the last qualifier, last chance one, is on the 14th, Valentine's Day, and the regionals aren't until the 27th and 28th. So there is a good amount of time that if the patch came out, like say the 16th, there would be a good amount of time for teams to be able to adapt.
Well, it usually is 3 weeks from a hero release, so that would be the 24th, 23rd, yeah, 23rd. So that's
right before
4 days before regionals. So if they do that, some games do balance patches around the esports scenes. That's never been a Blizzard thing. We've seen multiple times throughout StarCraft, throughout Hearthstone, and throughout this game that they'll release a balance. I mean, we had Meta get balance change like a week before BlizzCon, right? They're not, they've never ever held off a balance patch before a big event. So if there is balance changes with Zul, it'll probably happen.
Yeah, and they keep mentioning over and over in every time they're communicating with us, they're like, we want to be light on our feet, we want to be doing patches frequently, we want to make changes like all the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're not worried about doing that right before the regional.
Well, contrary to that, they have done plenty of hero releases that have no balance patch with them.
That's true.
So it is possible that they could wait and do a big balance patch, big changes. Like they might fix any bugs that, like I think there's a Diablo bug right now.
There's a big Stitches bug too right now too.
Yeah. What is it?
There's like I don't know if it's like in all games, but at least in custom games, when Stitches sends out a hook from Fog of War, the enemy, like the team that's not with the Stitches, like depending on like graphic settings or something, I don't know exactly what causes it, but it causes your computer to like have 2 FPS for like 10 seconds.
Oh, jeez.
Luckily, though, I sent a lot of stream VODs to Blizzard, and they are working on a fix.
So stuff like that.
That seems like one they'd probably want to fix, yeah.
Normally, with Blizzard's like history, it's a hero release with a bunch of balance changes, then a hero release without balance changes. The only reason, and so we just had Li-Ming with a bunch of balance changes. Normally, I would say Zul wouldn't get balance changes, but just with how frequently they've been changing the game lately, just because they've been so responsive, just to small things like matchmaking lately, to little things like that. Dustin Bowers tweeted out that there are Kael'thas changes coming. There are more changes to Tyrande. All these heroes that are being talked about, like a Gazo rework, they constantly bringing them up. So it feels like there will be more balanced patches any day, really. I mean, they've like hot fixed the game like 6 or 7 times in the last month. I mean, we just got a matchmaking change, for Hero League if you're at rank 1, MMR changes. I mean, they're just pumping out the changes lately. So it's kind of hard to predict, what we're going to see when patches, or even if a patch is going to come out or not. Any day you can just wake up, it's like, oh, Tyrande got deleted from the game. Okay.
Let's
Goodbye forever, Tyrande.
Well, do we have anything else we wanted to talk about before we move on to the patch? Because I know like we said, we mentioned patches. There was a really big one this week, so we want to make sure we have the time to talk about it.
The one thing that I was thinking as we were talking about what we think the regionals will look like is just outside of even the competition itself, but the last North American Championship we had was in Las Vegas. Am I right? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. And that gave a certain feel to the event. Now, this one, it says, is going to be in the Burbank studio. So I'm assuming that means no audience. And
so that studio, it can be equipped to have audiences. They've had like audiences for Hearthstone and WCS, but it's not like a lot of people.
Yeah. It's not like Vegas size.
So I'm wondering if it's going to be a bit of a smaller to-do. I mean, it has to be a smaller to-do if it's going to be in the studio. It can't
Unless they're trolling
audience.
us by saying Burbank and then suddenly,
And then, haha, just kidding!
Yeah, JK, we're at Staples Center!
Yeah.
Are there not any event locations in Burbank?
It says Burbank Studio, specifically. So, I mean, it could be another Burbank studio, but I'm assuming...
ESL has been working on the studios that they have a ton, so it's possible they've got something completely different than what we've seen. Just because what we used for opening week was built like in the month before opening week, in the weeks before opening week, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was built like it was still being built as we arrived.
Yeah, they are like covering up things with cardboard.
Yeah.
So, just to make sure they had it done in time. Like, you never know. They could have a much different space and stuff. But
I guess I just am wondering, because there's so much more happening this year than happened last year, that it doesn't surprise me that they would kind of scale back when we're looking at, 3 global championship runs, that maybe they wouldn't be doing a huge to-do for the North American Championship. Doesn't surprise me, but it lets me down a little bit because North American Championship was very close to BlizzCon in terms of my favorite events of the year.
No. Okay, I'm gonna say it's lame. It's lame. EU gets their championship at IM Cowboys. You know how many people are gonna be there just for CS:GO? That place is gonna be so packed.
yeah, but that might mean that Heroes isn't like super packed if everyone's there for CS:GO.
Well, you just get some flow over and stuff. At least there will be people there.
Yeah.
Vegas was so awesome, and
Vegas was awesome.
Have to necessarily be another Vegas tier event. Hopefully, they sell tickets or they hype it up as well. But as we're getting closer, you run out of time to be reserving tickets and stuff. So
that's the thing; it's so soon.
Yeah,
I do hope that there is some sort of availability for an audience, because we actually talked about this and how almost strange opening week was. In terms of they'd be like Cloud9, and then it'd just be there's silence, and you could hear them walking out, and we didn't even have the hype music in our ears. So we usually that dun 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 that was playing at Vegas really hyped us up when the teams were walking out, and we'd be like, oh my god, we're about to do this. And then instead it was just
yeah.
So I really do hope that there's an audience, for the teams, most of all, because they love playing in front of an audience, and it's a really great experience, especially for a lot of the newer teams too, who don't get that option very often.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Hopefully, if not this one, maybe at the summer split, because if not, then we just have to wait till BlizzCon, and that's so far away.
Maybe it's just because this one did have to start up pretty fast.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, is maybe the winter one is in Vegas or something.
Yeah, because they are, for the EU event, they're piggybacking off of IM Cowboys. It's an already run event. They're, a venue that had room. We're North America, so we don't get LAN events ever. So there's nothing to piggyback off of. One day, we will have events.
Well, there's a DreamHack in May in Austin. So
maybe that'll be summer.
Let's just keep our fingers crossed on that one, because that's in your neighborhood, Gilly.
It is in my neighborhood.
I'm gonna feel that. I'm gonna put that out in the universe.
You're
gonna
just ruminate on it.
I'm just gonna let
that
gonna let that flow from me.
Got it.
But yeah, I agree. It's kind of a bummer. This is not a vote of no confidence in ESL, though. I think ESL can make a great show. It's just I'm really hoping that it isn't one of those these two casters could just as easily be casting from home, except we put them behind a desk, and so it's an event. You know what I mean? I hope that there's a full-on production, and that it makes it feel special and cool, as opposed to just we had to make something a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I assume they're going to bring the teams in live. I would assume.
Teams will be there.
Okay, so at least there's that.
I mean,
see their faces.
I don't know. I assume teams will be there. That would be.
I think it said it was LAN.
Yeah, it would be really weird if regionals did not have.
Yeah.
Well, I guess those were the qualifiers.
Those were just qualifiers.
It does say in Los Angeles whenever it's the teams qualify for the blah 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 in Los Angeles. So the assumption is there that the teams would be going. Anyway, well, we'll see. Based Blizzard, don't let us down.
They never do.
I wouldn't say never, but most of the time they're on
We
point.
believe.
Yeah. I have to believe that you guys are right, that it's about how quickly they had to pull this off, because planning an event like what they did in Vegas takes a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't that long ago that we were at BlizzCon, really. So, anyways, we've talked about that quite a bit. A lot of this is obviously speculation, but what we can talk about with concreteness is our most recent patch notes. So let's transition to talking about that. On February 2nd, we got a huge patch. I'm showing it to you right now, and this is how long it is. It's still going. Okay. So that's our patch notes. So obviously we're not going to be able to go through everything in detail, but we've kind of pulled a few things we thought were interesting, and we'll go through as much as we can. So let's start with the top. We have the Lunar Festival going on. Gilly, if I remember correctly, you really like the Lunar Festival. Am I wrong?
I love the Lunar Festival. Yeah,
Okay.
It's probably my favorite. That and Hallows Eve or whatever. Is it Hallows Eve called that?
I think so. That
How's
sounds
End?
right.
Hallows End. There you go. Those two are my two favorites. But this one did not disappoint. The skins were really amazing. Jaina's is cool. Wooden's is awesome. That dragon is insane. However, I have not gotten that bundle, and I will tell you why. Because I had to get the Li-Ming bundle. That is the cutest skin I have ever, except for Morales, Samus Morales. That is the cutest skin. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. And with the like surfboard star mount thing, oh, I love it so much. That's the only Li-Ming I'll play now. Bye, Anna. Anyway. There's also a quest, the monkey quest, when you enter the Nexus.
No.
Do you just hate it?
No, I hate it.
And why do you hate it?
The monkey, man. People yell at me. You know, if I've done the monkey once, I'm not going to follow him around every single game with you. So I go stand in the corner like, we need your help with the monkey. I'm not chasing that thing every game, guys. I'll do it once a day for my gold. Sometimes twice if I'm feeling generous. But I'm not following that monkey every game. It's ridiculous.
Wow, are you a Lunar Festival Grinch?
I am.
It sounds like it.
The monkey chasing it's hard. It's, killing the treasure goblin was easy. You just killed it. But you have to
Follow.
I try harder trying to follow that monkey than I do in the game itself.
Gilly, I think as I ran away to take the squeaker away from my dog that he was about to eat, I think you were talking about the Li-Ming Star Princess bundle.
It's so freaking cute.
Oh my god.
I love it so much.
It everything in me that loved Rainbow Bright as a small child screamed when I saw that. There was actually an explosion in our group chat on Eye on the Storm. Everyone was freaking out about her. So I completely agree, Gilly.
It's so good. That and the star mount. There's also a quest. It's play a certain number of games, and then you get the Lunar Festival portrait. And I think that's all that's going on with the Lunar Festival.
Fun. All great. Another thing that's happening kind of in the
monkey quest. Sorry.
Another thing that's happening generally that's interesting that I don't really understand because I was a communication major, but I think is exciting, is that the replay protocol is now open source. So I think that means that you developer-y types can do really cool things with the replay protocol. And I think that's cool. Do you guys have any more information about that?
I think it just makes... I could be wrong on this because I don't fully understand it, but it makes it to where when people data mine stuff and it's like, oh, they data mined it, this is all... it makes it that less of a big deal because you can just get the information.
Yeah.
Through normal stuff.
Write or upgrade their own community-driven replay analysis tools.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't know how to do that, but if you do, you should.
You do you.
Yeah.
Li-Ming was added, and we'll be playing her in the play session. Before we do that, just general thoughts on Li-Ming.
OP. She's going to get nerfed 10 times. She's hands down the strongest hero in the game.
So the glass cannon thing isn't working because they were like, oh yeah, but she's so weak.
Safe.
She's so glass.
When you have heroics like Divine Shield that just make you immune for several seconds, doesn't matter how squishy you are,
Yeah, and you could stay pretty safe with her. It's a low low cooldown on teleport, and critical mass means that you just get it again as long as you kill someone. So besides the fact that you just get like your heroic again too, she's pretty strong.
Yeah.
I've been topping damage charts with her, and I've only started playing her, and topping damage charts is not something that I do a lot because I'm a very safe assassin player, and I usually don't top the damage charts, but I don't die very much, and yeah.
This is why you are the yin to my yang, Gilly.
Yeah. You play Diablo, I'll play Li-Ming, we'll have a great time.
Yes. Otherwise, though, I would say, especially after talking to Kent Eric Hagman last show, I love the fantasy of Li-Ming quite a bit. I love her character. I think I love her, like, overconfidence and kind of the way she's presented. I love her movements. I think, like, she's a really cool hero. And so whenever something like that gets released, I just think it's really good for the game. Outside of, I mean, we're very focused on the competitive side and everything like that and on balance and all of that. But when a character is cool and it makes people be like, I like that character, I want to play lots of games with it, that's really good for the game. So I think that's what she's doing.
Yeah, and unlike the last 5 or 6 heroes that have been released, Artanis, and then Cho'Gall, and then Lunara, then Greymane, who saw no competitive play, we have a hero release that will see competitive play, guys. Well, if she's banned every game, she won't see competitive play, but she'll be in the draft at some point.
Yeah.
Unlike the other heroes.
At least her face will show up on the screen, and that's what's important.
Yeah. People won't be like, who's that hero? Oh, that's that guy that's banned every time. Okay, got it. She's cool. It's really interesting because these Diablo characters don't really have too much lore to them, and when the Zeba was released, there wasn't like too much released about them and stuff. That was Sonya, but it seems like the Heroes team, like probably partnering with the Diablo team, like developed a story for her, and that's really cool. You know, they're taking a character from the game, but they're also creating a new character for the game, which is not something we've ever thought about for Heroes. With Heroes, we always think, who are they going to pull from next? StarCraft.
Brightwing.
I guess. Well,
Brightwing's
in
was
WoW.
Johanna a character?
Brightwing is technically in WoW.
But she was just a fairy dragon. I think she was a named character created for Heroes. Wasn't she?
Yeah, I think so.
She's in WoW, isn't she? That she's got a little character model that moves around.
She is now, but I don't think she was at the time that she was added to the game.
Okay, well, not boring Heroes, Gilly. Come on.
Wait. But wasn't Johanna one of those two?
I think all of the Diablo characters.
But they didn't do like a story for Johanna, like an actual like in-depth story. Like when you watch the trailer about like her past and stuff of like Li-Ming, is that a little bit different?
I mean, Johanna's was like, I'm questing for the right and I'm looking for someone to be my fellow traveler, blah blah blah. But I guess it wasn't that in depth.
You just say, like,
I'm searching for my apprentice.
Maybe I'm overthinking it. Just like with Li-Ming, it seemed like the Heroes team have created a story, and
maybe we got a little window into that because this was. I mean, I keep bringing up Kent Eric because he was on our show, but like this was his baby, and I get the sense that he really likes to think about the story behind a character. So maybe that's because of how much he loved Li-Ming, because he kept saying how she was like his favorite, and he was really excited to play her and stuff. So maybe the depth came from his passion.
Yeah, that and just maybe the way that they designed her, like made it feel like okay, they really nailed it this time, which I agree with.
You have a character like Lunara who's like never actually had a place, but she's always been like the granddaughter of Cenarius or whatever, right? She never had a story beyond that. She's just the granddaughter of Cenarius, but they put her in the game, so there's Lunara. But this one seemed like it came from Heroes, like it came from those developers, which is cool because that gives them more creativity, which means they're going to be more passionate about the heroes they're making. It's not just going to be we're going to pull Necromancer from Diablo 2, who already has a story. They made the story for this one. That just, to me, would make me work much harder on that character and fall in more love with, the design of them.
Cool. Well, moving past Li-Ming, because we will play her in our play session. So if you have questions about her and you want to learn more, then let us know during the play session by tweeting with the hashtag StormShow or by saying something in chat. But let's move on to art, because something that's really interesting to us casters especially is that there's some disambiguation going on with abilities and talent icons. Yeah.
Well, and also they have new ability art for a noob, Arthas, Diablo, Gazlo, and Murky. They are gorgeous. Please, if you only check out one, look at Murky, because that pufferfish is hilarious. It is so good. It's like making this face. Wait, I can't even do it. Never mind. I give up.
I'll pull that up really quick for you.
Yeah, it's so good. And then also, yeah, so, they started this with, was it Morales? I think Morales might have been the first one, where if you had the same two talents on the same tier that affected the same ability, they changed the color of one so that we can tell just at a glance which one it was. Before, we'd have to be like, well, they either picked Northern Exposure or Numbing Blast, or you could kind of, if we were casting and we weren't observing, you kind of say like, we'll try to see if it's Northern Exposure or Numbing Blast, and then maybe we were able to like get in sync with the observers and see it that way, or you would just watch for it too and see if Cone of Cold came out and it rooted somebody or made them vulnerable. But a lot of times it was it made things really difficult. So they started that with Morales, and since then have been doing that for all of the heroes that they've been releasing, but now are going back and doing that for a lot of the other heroes, including Jaina, which was a really big one for me. And I'm really pumped about it. I think that it's so nice and just shows that on the whole Blizzard is like really approaching this game and looking at improving it in multiple avenues.
Yeah.
The pufferfish is really funny.
Yeah, pufferfish is awesome. It looks.
I
want to play Murky again.
I really wanted to compare it to the face that you made just now, Gilly, and it was pretty close. So yeah, I'm really excited about that too, because that I already have enough trouble with keeping like the names of the abilities and talents apart, and when their icons are the same, it just breaks my brain because I'm a visual learner, so I need to see something different in order to memorize it. So I'm really happy about this.
This is just like one of those changes that you could leave that in the game from like a player standpoint. Like that, the same colors does not affect like the game from like any player's perspective. This is a change that's purely for the spectator's point of view, which is like the fact that like seeing Blizzard make changes just for spectators is just great for Heroes Esports in general.
Totally.
Yep. And along with that, they also updated the observer interface. First of all, the one that they used for BlizzCon, it's now the default interface, which is really awesome. And they'll be updating that, which is cool too, because from a standpoint, we always had to look and try to download and make sure that we had the correct interface before we were casting. And so that's really nice quality of life update for us. Also, it made Towers of Doom, it shows the health on that now on the cores. And it also shows not only the gems and doubloons that have been turned in on Tomb of the Spider Queen and Blackheart's Bay, but also what the ones that have been held, which is not something that we could see before. And yet again, that is purely for spectators, but it's amazing that we're able to see that. I'm so happy.
No more caster math.
That also helps in the game because you do change in game too. You don't have to ever be like, I have 8, Gilly has 4, Anna has 3. Is that enough? You just look at the bottom right now.
Hashtag player math. Probably far superior than caster math.
Yeah, we were all discussing on Skype right when that came out. We were like, hail the end of caster math. We will never have to do it again. Yeah, that's something that we've been wanting for a long time. But let's move on. Let's see. We just finished talking about UI, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the observer interface. That's really exciting for me.
Combat text.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right.
Cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, you guys like it?
Yeah.
My only... Oh, yeah, go ahead. The combat...
Doesn't look great.
Okay.
I like it. It's
the only
good.
complaint, I'm like... It looks a little cartoony to me, which is not necessarily a problem, but it pushes it, like, just a tiny bit over to the League of Legends graphics side, which I am not as attracted to. So as long as I don't think about it that way, it's fine, but I was like... I like the information. It's much more clear what I'm doing, but the way it was animated made me feel like I was way more in a cartoony world than I'm used to being in Heroes. I don't know. Picky. Hashtag
picky.
But I'll get over it because I'll get used to it because I'm a gamer and I don't like change, but once I get used to it, I'll love it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, design and gameplay. We now have timers for invulnerability and stasis. What do you guys think of that?
I mean, I come from the standpoint that any information is good. Sometimes people have an issue with information overload. There's too much on the screen. You don't need to see necessarily everything. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I want as much information as possible. If the whole screen could look like the Matrix, where I'm just like seeing stats and stuff, cool. I'm all about that. So I prefer, more information. I think I like it.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
So it's good. I'm like, neutral on it. Battleground Monsters, a convention change. Now, neutral garden terrors, temple guardians, skeletal defenders, skeletons, pirate skeletons will all henceforth be known as Battleground Monsters.
Which is good.
Hail naming conventions, because I am so happy.
Yes. That means that it's fun when you, like, as a caster, when you have other words you can use to describe them, great, that's fun. But when you're trying to explain an overarching concept, you can use one word that applies to that whole overarching concept, which is absolutely necessary. So, yes, this is a tiny thing that doesn't matter to most people, but matters a ton to us.
I'm just, like, one of the people that, like, when Marine King Prime was originally chose the name Boxer, and I called him Fake Boxer for like 2 years. Even after he changed his name, whenever these guys go through these, like whenever there's name changes, like Knight, I still call Bruiser Camps Knights.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm really bad with name changes. So eventually 2 to 3 years from now, Blizzard, I'll start calling them Battleground Monsters. That's back eventually, but
that's the thing, you don't have to. It's just a way to talk about all of them at once. Sure. That's what's so good about this, is you can talk about them specifically, but you can also talk about them all at once.
Yeah.
I like that.
So some changes that came through in Battlegrounds. I'm going to speed through these because we have lots of hero changes that we haven't even gotten to yet. Structures can no longer be made vulnerable. I always thought that was silly, so I'm happy to see that. Infernal Shrines, Arcane Sentry damage reduced by 20%. It was only a matter of time until that Arcane Punisher got reduced to the level of Frozen and Mortar. Towers of Doom, Bell Towers no longer affect the Goblin Saber path, which means no matter what Bell Towers you hold, they'll always go into the bottom lane for the bottom ones, and then of course the top one will run into top lane. And finally, the big one here in this category, Towers, Forts, and Keeps now deal 50% bonus damage to heroes. That has taken some time to get used to.
I love that. It did take some time to get used to, especially for someone like me who has a tendency to go ham, but I really like it. I think it should cost you way more to fight under the towers.
I think it's a step in the right direction, but I don't think it's enough. You still see those silly base races at level 1 still. Yeah. It's not enough damage. As long as your warrior's taking the damage, and if it's clear that 5 people are top and you're 5 are bottom, well, you just go for the push. Like, it's not enough damage to stop those pushes, which I still think is kind of taken away from Sylvanas. Her whole kit is designed around the ability to disable towers, and when you don't really care about disabling towers, you're still able to just push into them. Even with this change, you can still push into them. It's a good change, but it's if they did this change to stop those specific situations, it wasn't enough. I think in general we'll see less tower dives, especially at like the lower levels of play, because I've seen like plenty like of Zeratul just like die to a tower. That's the change. So it's a nice change, but if it's for that reason, it's not enough.
I do agree though that it is at least helping Sylvanas come back more, climb back more, and more changes like this will improve that, because you're totally right. That is supposed to be the big benefit of having Sylvanas, right?
Real quick, ESL just messaged me referring to earlier when we talked about how Zarmony was potentially locked into the team. That is not the case.
Perfect.
The player isn't on the team anymore. They're not subject to the roster rules.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, that's super awesome. And thank you, ESL, for letting us know on top of that.
Specifically, Zach Tabris, Connolly.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you. You rock. And that's super good for Zarmony, too, because that it's life for these players. They're pros. Hero changes now. Cho'Gahl specifically Gall, but some Cho too, had a bunch of talents reworked. There were a lot of talent reworks. Cho and Gall, Nova, Rhaegar.
They were really excited about Nova changes.
I think they're excited about
Rhaegar. They should not be excited about Nova changes. Poor Nova, man.
What do you think about Nova then? So you don't like it?
She's just so bad now. I mean, okay, there was that one talent where the level 7 one, hitting an enemy hero with sight increases the snipes damage from beforehand. That's kind of silly because, okay, so the way it works is you hit a snipe on a hero, you get 5% more damage on your next snipe, stacks to 10 times. If you use snipe and it misses an enemy hero, you lose all those stacks. You use snipe for a lot of things like sieging, helping take camps. Like if you miss a snipe, people miss snipes, you lose the stacks. I mean, overall, these changes probably made her less toxic for new players, because you always see Battle.net forums and Reddit like, Nova's the worst, it's ruining the game for me. That's not going to be the case anymore, but she was already not competitively viable, and then she got nerfed, so she's still not competitively viable. So it's just a sad day for Nova fans, because she's always been, whenever you see a Nova in those like niche situations where she does fit into a comp, it's always exciting, right? It's
yeah.
Like, Nova, you finally get to see her. And then I don't think that's going to be the case at all anymore. She's like worse.
It's interesting because the developer comments were saying like, hey, Nova's a really cool character that people like, but she is not fun to play against for new players. She's not viable in competitive play. Her talent pick rates aren't good. So we're doing this whole rework to try to fix those things. So it looks like they were trying to address that, but you just don't think they did, huh?
No. And from what I've talked to, like, from my team and then other teams that have tried scrimming her, it's just, like, overall, just, like, she's just worse in general.
I think maybe part of the issue, too, is on the developers. She's just in a tough spot, because in that developers comment, they said that they want to try to keep the like core play style that they thought of with her, but then also like she is super burst. That was like the core thing, and so they took that away, and I understand wanting to take it away because of the fact that it was so rough to deal with for new players. It's still sometimes just rough to deal with in general when you're up against a really, really good Nova, at least for me. But yeah, they say, we realize that this is a slight departure from her long history of burst damage, but feel it's a better direction for her in the long run. We're watching her very carefully in order to react quickly and tune accordingly. So at least they're watching, and hopefully we'll continue to make changes with her. But yeah, I think it's just like, it's almost like trying to come up with a new identity.
Yeah.
And that's going to take a while.
Usually with reworks like this, you have to kind of put them in the gutter first. It's kind of sad, but like you can't rework her and then keep her damage the same. This is the kind of change you have to do where you nerf her and then you scale her up over time to eventually where she's good again. So it's unfortunate for now. Hopefully 6 months down the road we'll have Nova playable.
Lots of assassin changes. We talked about Gall and Nova. Lunara, she's had a few patches. Last one was damage and health buffs, but this one was in regard to the responsiveness for her auto attacks. She was very interesting to try to stutter step with because of how long the animation took. And it definitely does make her feel a lot better. I've been playing her some. What did you think of it? Zoia, what do you think of that?
She's definitely a lot more fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
Like her melee attack animation before made her unplayably annoying. It was so bad. And the changes as well, like with just attack animation, how you can do more consistent damage, just made her viable. She won't be first pick, first ban ever, but you'll see her in those last pick situations where you normally see like Raynor or Vala or Sylvanas, as that final damage spot. She does have great damage. It's not Jaina tier, Falstad tier, Li-Ming tier, but she's going to see play. I mean, we've already started seeing her get picked up in EU.
Yep, I think we'll see her a bit more now too, even here in NA. A big talent rework was for Rhaegar. And now, this is just crazy to me. Earth Shield is so nuts. I cannot wrap my head around Earth Shield. It was moved to 13, and it now provides a static number, which is 15% of a target's maximum health as a shield. That is the same as Protective Shield, except Prot Shield is on a 60-second cooldown, and with the cooldown reduction that you get from Blood and Thunder, it's in a 6-second cooldown to get that shield back up. It's just so many shields for days.
If you think that's crazy, just next time you play Rhaegar, get the increased radius at level 1, and then on the shield, electric charge.
Yes, yeah.
And then at 16 you get Rising Storm.
Yeah,
and that is what makes Rhaegar the most broken hero in the game right now. It's the damage that Lightning Shield does is actually absurd.
Well, yeah, because it increases it to the point where you can get 200% extra damage.
Yeah. There was an old cheat code in StarCraft Brood War called Power Overwhelming that made all of your units invulnerable. That is Rhaegar now. Permanently, he's an assassin, he's a healer, he's just God tier. He is insane now with these changes.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the build, and you can get all of that in one build, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Nuts, I say. And on top of that, the fact that they increased the heal, the base heal, and took away Healing Surge, and then increased the base heal, moved Tidal Waves to 13, although that's up against Earth Shield, so maybe we picked up. It's some interesting changes, but yeah, Rhaegar is going to be very hotly contested.
He will be first pick, first ban in a lot of situations, yeah. He is really good. He is really, really good.
So, guys, there's tons of hero stuff, but I would say we'll probably leave it there unless there's anything you guys feel like we definitely need to say before signing off about other hero changes.
The Zeratul changes are insane as well.
Yeah.
Cleave build does so much damage now. I don't think any of the other heroes were changed enough to see them rotate. Like the changes of Sonya, even with focus attack nerf, she's still going to be a good pick.
Yeah, and also her seismic slam damage was reduced. But Zeratul also, the cooldown for Shadow Assault was way reduced, but I think for the most part, I still see a lot of Zeratuls using Void Prison.
Yeah, he just does more damage, and then Illidan potentially will start seeing more play as well. With the changes to Illidan, it's only 4 auto attack damage per level. But you mix that with the Abathur buff as well as these Rhaegar buffs. Rhaegar has always been the support you pair with Illidan, even over Uther when he was at his prime. And then Abathur Illidan is like the duo. Those three are the trio for Illidan. With both of those partners seeing the buff and then the Illidan buff, we'll more than likely start seeing Illidan played a lot more as well.
I am really excited about that because I have missed Illidan play.
I have to say I have too. I didn't think I would, but I have.
He's flashy and fun.
Yeah.
Flipping around.
All right. Well, there were a lot of changes, guys, to heroes, but those are just some of the highlights that we wanted to point out. It is a little bit over time to get into our play session, so we're going to be doing that pretty quick. We will have a custom game. Zoia has picked Garden of Terror to be our map. Is there a reasoning for that?
Yeah, there's a Reddit thread today saying that Garden of Terror should be removed from the play, and it's based off a poll that was, what is your favorite map? And I am not surprised Garden of Terror is no one's favorite map, but it's not a bad map, especially with the changes to the Garden of Terror where you can use it on the core, the little disable on the core. That makes the map less, not 40-minute games every time. I think Garden's a great map, and I really want to show that. But people are just because it's not people's favorite map, no one's going to be like, Garden of Terror is my favorite map. But it's not a bad map. It's actually a fun map. It's not anyone's favorite. And the people are trying to be remove Garden of Terror from the map pool. And, I think it's a fun map. And I wanted to show that.
I love that reasoning. I'm excited. And you're going to be playing Li-Ming for us, too. We will post the build in chat during the break so that you guys can follow along with the build that he will be doing. We're also going to make sure that we have the new Rhaegar on the team, too, to be able to check out that, whether that'll be me or someone else playing that. So that's what to look forward to, and we are going to take a quick break while we get that set up. and we'll play a game, and we'll also talk about Here's the Dorm, right, Anna? Sorry,
yes, and it is.
Amma.
Yeah, well, that works too. Sometimes it happens when you're writing in cursive. It's just the extra lumps there. But yeah, it is Li-Ming Hero Week right now, so we want to celebrate that. That's what we're going to be doing with Zoia playing Li-Ming. And then also, I am going to be using, the new replay and observer interface. So I'm going to show you guys that. And this is actually the first time I have obs with that. So that'll be fun. We'll find it out together.
Yay.
Yay!
All right, so we'll be just going to a really brief break while we set up this game. Don't go anywhere, and we will be right back. Thank you, guys.